Her words cut through me like glass. Sharp. Cold. Final. I'm ashamed that you're my mother. Alyssa didn't shout it. She didn't cry. She just stood there in my living room, her arms crossed tight, her eyes hard as stone. Like she'd been rehearsing this moment for weeks. Like she'd practiced the exact angle to tilt her chin, the precise tone to break my heart with maximum efficiency. I felt my knees go weak. My throat closed up. The room seemed to tilt sideways, and I reached for the back of the couch to steady myself. I wanted to reach for her, to ask her what she meant, to beg her to explain. But she turned away before I could even breathe, her designer jacket, one I certainly hadn't bought her, swishing as she moved. I can't do this anymore, she whispered. Then she walked out. The door clicked shut behind her. Not a slam. Just a quiet, final click. Somehow that was worse. A slam would have meant emotion, passion, something I could work with. But that click, that was deliberate. Controlled. The sound of a door closing forever. I stood there in the sudden silence, holding a sealed letter. Yellowed paper, the edges soft from years of being tucked away. Trent's handwriting on the front, that familiar scrawl I used to see on grocery lists and birthday cards. For Alyssa. When she's ready. She never gave me a chance to explain. Never let me tell her the truth. She just took the letter I'd finally given her, the letter I'd kept safe for 19 years, and looked at me like I was a stranger. No, worse than a stranger. Like I was someone who had betrayed her in the deepest way possible. Before we continue, I would like to know where you're watching from in the comment section. Also hit the subscribe button and share this video, as this will help this video to travel far so others can learn also. My name is Megan. I'm 46 years old. I raised that girl completely alone. Fed her. Clothed her. Loved her through every scraped knee and broken heart. I was there for her first day of kindergarten when she cried and clung to my leg. I was there when she got her period and needed someone to explain what was happening. I was there for every science project, every dance recital, every 2 a.m. panic attack about college applications. So how did I become the villain in my own daughter's story? Let me tell you. Let me tell you everything from the beginning, because someone needs to hear this. Someone needs to know that mothers can do everything right and still end up being cast as the antagonist in their own children's lives. Trent packed his bags in under 7 minutes. I remember because the pasta on the stove hadn't even finished boiling yet. The water was still rolling, those big bubbles that meant 2 more minutes until al dente. I had been stirring the sauce, marinara from scratch, because Trent always said he could taste the difference, when I heard the bedroom door slam open. Alyssa was 7 years old. She was sitting at the kitchen table drawing dolphins in her coloring book, her tongue stuck out in concentration the way she always did when she was focused. She had this special set of gel pens I'd saved up for, and she was carefully coloring each dolphin a different shade of blue. She didn't even notice him moving through the house like a storm, grabbing things randomly, his favorite jacket, his college t-shirts, the watch his father had given him. He didn't say goodbye to her. Didn't kiss her forehead. Didn't promise to call. Didn't even look at her. He just tossed a duffel bag into the trunk of his car and muttered, "You turned her against me." I hadn't. I never said a single bad word about him. Not once. Not when he came home drunk 3 nights a week. Not when I found receipts from expensive restaurants I'd never been to. Not when he snapped at Alyssa for being too loud, too messy, too much of a child. He drove off that night and disappeared into the September darkness. No child support. No birthday cards. No phone calls on Christmas. Nothing. Alyssa cried for weeks. She kept asking when Daddy was coming back, her little face crumpling every time I tried to explain. I told her he needed time. That he loved her. That it wasn't her fault. I repeated those words like a mantra, hoping that if I said them enough, she'd believe them. Hoping I'd believe them too. I lied to protect him. To protect her. to protect the image of a father she deserved to have, even if he didn't deserve to be it. And for 19 years, I carried that lie alone. It grew heavier with each passing year, pressing down on my chest until some mornings I could barely breathe. But I carried it anyway, because that's what mothers do. We carry the weight so our children don't have to. 3 days after Trent left, I got a thick envelope from his attorney. Divorce papers. Basic terms. No custody fight. He didn't want her. No alimony. He claimed he had nothing to give. He signed everything fast, eager to erase us from his life like we were a mistake that could be corrected with legal documents. But tucked inside was another envelope. Smaller. Sealed with tape that had already started to yellow. One line written on the front, "Give this to Alyssa when she's old enough to understand." I held it in my hands for a long time that day, turning it over and over. I could have opened it. I should have opened it. But I didn't. It wasn't addressed to me. I figured if Trent wanted to say something to his daughter, that was between them. Maybe it was an explanation. Maybe it was an apology. Maybe it was the truth he couldn't say to her face. So I put it in the back of my closet, behind old sweaters I never wore anymore and shoeboxes full of photographs from a happier time. Safe. Waiting. I thought maybe one day, when she was 18 or 21, I'd give it to her. When she was mature enough to handle whatever he had written. When she had enough life experience to understand that people are complicated, that fathers can fail, that love doesn't always look the way we want it to. I wish I had opened it. I wish I had read every word that first night, held it up to the light, memorized every loop and curve of his handwriting. Because if I had, maybe I could have prepared myself for what was coming. Maybe I could have seen the storm gathering on the horizon. Maybe I could have stopped her from believing their lies, from walking away from me into the arms of people who had spent 19 years pretending she didn't exist. It started slowly. So slowly I almost didn't notice. Like a photograph fading in the sun, so gradual you don't realize it's happening until one day you look and can barely make out the faces anymore. Alyssa came home from college for Thanksgiving. She was quieter than usual. Distant. She spent most of the weekend on her phone, her thumbs flying across the screen, her face illuminated by that blue glow even at the dinner table. When I asked her what was wrong, she shrugged. Nothing, Mom. I'm just tired. But her eyes didn't meet mine when she said it. She'd never been a good liar. Her face always gave her away. But now, suddenly, she'd learned to hide. But I heard her on the phone later that night, whispering in her bedroom, the one that still had her high school posters on the walls and her softball trophies on the shelf. Yeah, Graham. I know. She never told me any of this. Graham. Trent's mother. The woman who called me a gold-digging mistake at our wedding, loud enough for the bridesmaids to hear. The woman who said I trapped her son with a pregnancy, even though Alyssa wasn't born until 2 years after we married. The woman who never once called to check on Alyssa after Trent left, never sent a birthday card or Christmas gift, never asked if her granddaughter needed anything. My stomach turned. I stood outside her door, frozen, listening through the crack. I knew I shouldn't eavesdrop. Good mothers don't spy on their children. But something in my gut told me I needed to hear this. I'm starting to see it now, Alyssa said, her voice cold in a way I'd never heard before. She kept him away from me, didn't she? She made it impossible for him to be in my life. I wanted to knock, to burst in, to tell her the truth, to show her the empty mailbox year after year, the birthday parties he never came to, the child support payments that never arrived. I wanted to shake her and scream that I had protected her, that I had lied for him, that I had made him look better than he ever deserved to look. But I didn't. I walked away, my hand pressed against my mouth to keep the sob from escaping. And that was my first mistake. Silence, I was learning, could be interpreted as guilt. By Christmas, Alyssa barely looked at me. She came home for 3 days, 3 days that felt like 3 years, and spent most of it locked in her room on video calls. I could hear laughter through the door, bright and genuine, the kind of laughter she used to save for me. I tried to talk to her. I made her favorite cookies, the chocolate chip ones with extra vanilla that she used to sneak from the cooling rack. I asked about school, about her friends, about her plans for the future. I tried to find the connection we used to have, that invisible thread that tied us together. She answered in one-word sentences. Cold. Detached. Fine. Yeah. Maybe. Each word was a wall, carefully constructed to keep me out. One night, I overheard her again. I had stopped pretending I wasn't listening. If she was going to talk about me in my own house, I had a right to know what was being said. Yeah, Dad tried to stay, she said into the phone, and my blood ran cold. But she made it impossible. She pushed him away. She wouldn't let him see me. She poisoned me against him. I didn't know she was like that. I didn't know she was so controlling, so manipulative. My heart stopped. I gripped the counter so hard my knuckles turned white, so hard I thought the granite might crack beneath my fingers. They were rewriting history. Trent's family was poisoning her against me, taking the truth and twisting it, bending it until it matched the narrative they wanted. And she was believing every word, swallowing their lies like medicine she thought would heal her. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to show her the truth written in every sacrifice I'd made, every meal I'd stretched to feed us both, every night I'd worked overtime so she could have the school supplies she needed. But I didn't. I stayed quiet. I turned off the stove and went to my bedroom and cried into my pillow so she wouldn't hear. Because I still thought love would win. I thought she'd come back to me. I thought the years of scraped knees I'd bandaged and nightmares I'd chased away would mean something. I thought blood would be thicker than their money. I was wrong. Trent's family has money. Old money. The kind that buys silence and power and loyalty. The kind that sits in trusts and investment portfolios, growing quietly while regular people work themselves to exhaustion. Their name is on buildings downtown, on wings of hospitals, on scholarships at the state university. They never offered a dime to help raise Alyssa. Not for school supplies when I was stretching my paycheck thin. Not for braces when her teeth came in crooked. Not for college tuition when she got accepted to her dream school and we had to take out loans with interest rates that made me nauseous. But suddenly, they were reaching out, inviting her to family dinners at restaurants with cloth napkins and 3 forks, talking about trusts and inheritances and legacy, using words like your place in the family and your future and where you belong. Alyssa started dressing differently. Expensive clothes with designer labels, handbags that cost more than I made in a month, shoes that probably cost more than her entire college textbook budget. She posted photos online with her grandmother, both of them smiling in front of marble fireplaces and oil paintings of dead ancestors. Grateful, glowing, grateful for a family that suddenly remembered she existed. The comments flooded in. Finally reunited with your real family. You deserve this. Your dad's side loves you so much. So happy you found where you belong. I wasn't in a single photo. Not one. It was like I'd been erased, photoshopped out of her life as cleanly as if I'd never existed. She was being groomed. Slowly. Carefully. They were buying her loyalty with things I could never afford to give her. And all she had to do was forget me. Forget the woman who raised her. Forget the sacrifices. Forget the love. And she did. She forgot willingly, eagerly, gratefully. I didn't confront her. I didn't yell or cry or beg. I'd done enough of that alone in my bedroom. Instead, I started taking notes, writing down dates, times, conversations. I kept a journal, hidden in my nightstand, where I documented everything. December 18th, Alyssa cancels Christmas dinner plans. Says Graham invited her to the country club instead. January 3rd, Alyssa mentions Dad trying to reach out when she was younger. I remind her he never called. She changes the subject. February 14th, Valentine's Day. She sends me nothing. Posts photo with Graham. Caption, the woman who really understands me. Every time she visited them, she came back colder. Every phone call ended with a lie or a half-truth. Every interaction felt like I was talking to a stranger wearing my daughter's face. I wasn't going to fight for her attention. Not anymore. She had made her choice clear. But I was going to fight for the truth. I kept records of everything. Every missed call that I tried to make to her. Every canceled visit she initiated and then backed out of. Every cruel word she threw at me like stones. Every lie she repeated about her father without bothering to verify. I didn't know what I was going to do with it yet. But I knew I needed proof. Proof that I wasn't the villain. Proof that I had loved her. Proof that I had sacrificed for her, given her everything, held her together when her father's departure threatened to break her apart. Because one day, she was going to need to see it. One day, the fog was going to clear. And I would be ready. I would be standing there with the truth, documented and undeniable. Then I got the voicemail. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and I was at work, sitting in a meeting about quarterly projections that I couldn't focus on. My phone buzzed. Alyssa's grandmother's name flashed on the screen. I wasn't supposed to hear it. It was meant for Alyssa. But she must have accidentally called my number first, muscle memory from some old contact list. The voicemail was brief but devastating. Hi, sweetheart, it's Graham. Just reminding you, if your mother tries to guilt you about anything, remember what your father said in the letter. She never wanted him around. She pushed him out of your life. She isolated him, made him feel like he had no place in his own family. Don't let her manipulate you with her tears and her victim act. You know the truth now. My blood ran cold. I listened to it 3 times, sitting in the bathroom stall at work, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone. They had read it. The letter. The sealed letter Trent left for Alyssa. They had opened it. They had violated that boundary, broken that seal, read words that weren't meant for their eyes. And they knew what was inside. And they were using it against me, twisting it, weaponizing it. But Alyssa, she still hadn't read it. She had no idea what her father actually wrote. She was believing their interpretation, their narrative, their lies. And they were counting on that. They were counting on her never seeing the actual words, never knowing the real truth. I saved that voicemail, backed it up 3 different ways, because I knew, somehow, that I would need it. I couldn't wait anymore. That night, I went to my closet, pulled out the box from the top shelf, found the envelope beneath the sweaters and the shoeboxes and the memories I'd tried to bury. My hands were shaking as I opened it. I felt guilty, like I was betraying some sacred promise, like I was violating Trent's last wishes. But he had betrayed me first, and his family had violated it already, so what did it matter? I had to know. I had to see what they were using to destroy me. I unfolded the letter carefully. 1 page. Trent's handwriting. Messy. Rushed. The handwriting of someone who didn't want to take the time to make it neat, who wanted to get the words out before he lost the courage. And then I read it. Alyssa, I'm sorry. I'm writing this because I'm too much of a coward to say it to your face, and by the time you read this, I'll be long gone. I left because I was weak. I cheated on your mother. Multiple times. With multiple women. I lied about working late. I lied about business trips. I lied about everything. I couldn't face being a father. I couldn't handle the responsibility. Every time I looked at you, I saw all the ways I was failing. and instead of trying harder, I ran. Your mother never pushed me away. She begged me to stay. She offered to go to counseling. She offered to forgive me. She offered me every chance in the world to be better. But I didn't want to be better. I wanted to be free. If Megan gives you this letter, it means she's better than I ever deserved. It means she kept her promise to give you this when you were ready, even though it would have been easier to burn it. She's a better person than I'll ever be. She's a better parent than I could ever hope to be. Don't blame her. Don't ever blame her. Blame me. I'm the one who left. I'm the one who chose to walk away from the best thing that ever happened to me, you. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but your mother deserves your love. Dad. I fell to my knees on the closet floor, sobbing so hard I thought I might break apart completely. He told the truth. He confessed everything. He took responsibility. And his family had twisted it into a weapon. They had read his confession and somehow spun it into my fault. They had taken his words and perverted them, used them to convince my daughter that I was the villain. I don't know how long I sat there on the floor. Long enough for my legs to go numb. Long enough for the tears to stop coming. When I finally stood up, I felt different. Clearer. Harder. I knew what I had to do. I didn't destroy the letter. Part of me wanted to. Part of me wanted to burn it and scatter the ashes and pretend I'd never read it. But I didn't. I folded it carefully and put it back in the envelope. Put the envelope back in the box. Put the box back on the shelf. She didn't deserve it anymore. Not yet. She had made her choice. She had chosen them. Chosen the lies. Chosen the money and the status and the acceptance from people who had rejected her for 19 years. I wasn't her mother anymore. Not in her eyes. But I would be her reckoning. One day, she would see the truth. And when she did, I would be standing there. Silent. Strong. Unbroken. And she would have to face what she had done. Face how easily she had abandoned me. Face how quickly she had believed the worst about the person who loved her most. I could wait. I had waited 19 years already. I could wait a little longer. A month later, Alyssa called. Her voice was cheerful, like we were friends catching up after a busy week. Hey, Mom. So, the family wants to have dinner. All of us together. They want to, clear the air. Start fresh. I should have said no. Every instinct told me to say no. But I said yes. I said yes because I wanted to look them in the eyes. I wanted to see the people who had stolen my daughter. I wanted to understand what kind of people could do this. I walked into that restaurant, some place with dim lighting and a wine list the size of a phone book, and sat at their table. The hostess led me to a private room in the back, and there they were. Alyssa, her grandparents, her aunt and uncle, the whole family. I smiled. I ordered water. I folded my hands on the table like I was at a job interview. Her grandfather looked at me with cold eyes, the kind of eyes that had never known real struggle. So, Megan, how does it feel knowing Alyssa finally chose the truth? I didn't answer. I just looked at Alyssa. She didn't meet my eyes, studying her menu like it contained the secrets of the universe. Her grandmother smirked, her perfectly lined lips curling. She's better off now. With people who actually care about her. People who can give her the life she deserves. Not some. She paused. Lower middle-class existence. Alyssa said nothing. Didn't defend me. Didn't even look at me. Her uncle chimed in, swirling his wine. You did your best, Megan. We acknowledge that. But now she needs more. She needs family. Real family. I stood up, left $20 on the table for my water, and walked out. I didn't cry. Not this time. Not in front of them. I was done crying. I pulled back completely. No calls. No texts. No birthday cards. No random, thinking of you, messages. I stopped paying her rent. Quietly removed my name from her insurance. Canceled the credit card I'd given her for emergencies. The one I told her was only for true emergencies, but that I never minded when she used for groceries. They wanted her. They could have her. But they'd have to pay for her. They'd have to actually follow through on all those promises they'd made. Spoiler, they didn't. 2 months later, I heard through a mutual friend, a mother of one of Alyssa's high school friends, that Alyssa was struggling. Her rent was late. Her car broke down and she couldn't afford the repairs. She asked her grandmother for help. "We're not a bank, sweetheart," her grandmother told her, according to what filtered back to me. "You need to learn responsibility. You can't expect handouts your whole life." Funny. They had all the money in the world. They had vacation homes they visited twice a year and cars they drove once a month. But when she actually needed them, they turned their backs. Just like they did 19 years ago when Trent left. Just like they'd done her entire childhood when a birthday card would have meant everything. Money was for show, I realized. Money was for control. But actual help, actual support, that required something they didn't have. Genuine love. Then something unexpected happened. Trent's aunt, his father's sister, Margaret, passed away. I barely knew her. We'd met once at a family reunion years ago, back when Trent and I were still married and pretending everything was fine. She was kind, quiet, nothing like the rest of them. She had asked me about my work and actually listened to the answer. She had played with Alyssa and seemed genuinely delighted by her. Her lawyer called me a week after her funeral. Said she'd left something for me in her will. I thought it was a mistake. But I went to his office anyway, curious and confused. He handed me a sealed letter. And a file. A thick file with tabs and colored sticky notes marking important pages. "She wanted you to have this," he said, his expression grave. "She said you'd know what to do with it. She said it was time someone did the right thing." I opened the file right there in his office. Inside were bank statements, legal documents, records of a family trust established by Alyssa's great-grandmother decades ago. Trent had stolen from it hundreds of thousands of dollars. When Alyssa was a child, when I was struggling to pay for her school supplies and her field trips. And his parents had covered it up, signed off on it, hidden it, buried it in paperwork and shell companies. Margaret's letter explained everything. She had known. She had copies. She had kept silent because she was afraid of the family, afraid of being cut off. But in death, she had no more fears. "Give Alyssa what should have been hers," the letter said, "and make them face what they've done." I sat there for a long time, holding those papers, holding the truth, holding the weapon I hadn't known I needed. "Thank you, Margaret," I whispered to the air. I hired a forensic accountant, gave him everything Margaret had left me, told him to dig deeper. It took 3 months. 3 months of waiting, of hoping, of checking my email compulsively for updates. He combed through old records, bank transfers, signatures, dates, transactions that had been deliberately obscured, hidden in a maze of paperwork designed to confuse and conceal. Trent had funneled money from Alyssa's trust. Money that was supposed to be hers. Money her great-grandmother had left specifically for her education, for her future, for the granddaughter she'd never met but wanted to provide for. He'd used it to pay off gambling debts, to fund his new life in whatever city he'd run off to disappear in comfort while I worked overtime to buy his daughter shoes. And his parents knew. They had signed off on it. hidden it behind their lawyers and their influence, lied about it for years. It was illegal. Fraud, embezzlement, theft, all of it. I kept every document, labeled, organized, ready. I wasn't going to use it yet, but I would, when the time was right. Alyssa graduated college in May. I wasn't invited to the ceremony. She sent me an email, not even a phone call, an email, saying she thought it would be less awkward if I didn't come. But I went anyway. I stood at the back of the auditorium, behind all the families with their balloons and their flowers and their proud tears. I watched her walk across the stage in her cap and gown. Watched her take photos with the family who had abandoned her for 20 years but showed up for the public celebration. She looked happy, smiling, proud, surrounded by people cheering for her. I felt nothing. No tears. No anger. Just calm. Just the strange peace that comes when you've finally accepted a painful truth. I had spent 19 years raising her, loving her, sacrificing for her, working overtime and skipping meals and going without so she could have what she needed. And in 2 years, they had erased me. They had bought her loyalty and rewritten her memory. But I wasn't sad anymore. I was awake. I was clear. I was ready. And I knew exactly what I had to do. I went to see a lawyer. A good one. The kind who doesn't flinch when you walk in with a box of financial documents and a story that sounds too calculated to be true. I showed him everything. The letter from Trent. The trust documents Margaret had left me. The embezzlement records. The paper trail of theft and lies. He looked at me with wide eyes. This is serious. You could take this to court. Press charges. The family could face significant legal consequences. I nodded. I know. What do you want to do? I thought about it. For a long time. Sitting in his office with the afternoon sun streaming through the windows, watching dust motes dance in the light. Then I said, I want to give Alyssa what's hers. What should have always been hers. And I want her to see exactly what they did. I want her to know the truth. He smiled, a small satisfied smile. I can help with that. We filed the paperwork. Quietly. Carefully. No press. No drama. No announcements. Just the truth. Clean. Clear. Undeniable. I mailed Alyssa the letter. The one Trent left. The original, with his handwriting and his confession and his truth. No note. No explanation. No, I told you so. Just the envelope with her name on it, forwarded to her new address. She called me at 2 in the morning 3 days later, sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. Mom? Mom, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please. Please answer. I didn't know what he said. I didn't know what he actually wrote. They told me it said something else. They lied to me. Mom. Mom, please. I didn't answer. I let it go to voicemail. Listened to it once. Saved it. And went back to sleep. She texted me 20 times that night. Please. I didn't know. They lied to me. I was wrong. I'm so sorry. Please talk to me. I need you. Mom, please. I didn't respond. Not once. She had made her choice. She had believed them without question. She had abandoned me without giving me a chance to defend myself. Now she had to live with it. Now she had to sit in the discomfort of knowing she'd been wrong. I had spent 2 years in that discomfort. She could spend some time there too. Apparently, Alyssa confronted her grandparents, showed them the letter, demanded answers, demanded to know why they'd lied about what it said. Her grandfather told her, according to the fragments that made their way back to me, "It's time you grew up, Alyssa. The world isn't black and white. Your father was weak. We were protecting you from that weakness." Her grandmother was colder. "You're being ungrateful. After everything we've done for you, after we welcomed you back into this family, this is how you repay us." Alyssa didn't back down. She pushed. She asked about the trust, about the money her great-grandmother had left, about where it had gone. And just like that, they cut her off. No trust, no inheritance, no family dinners, no country club invitations. "You chose your side," her grandfather said. "Now live with it." She called me again, crying, begging, "Mom, please. I don't have anyone. They cut me off. I can't afford rent. My car is broken. I don't know what to do. Please. I know I don't deserve it, but please." I still didn't answer. Not because I didn't care, but because she needed to understand. She needed to feel what she'd put me through. She needed to know what it was like to be abandoned by the people you thought loved you. 2 weeks later, she showed up at my door. It was raining. She was soaked. Mascara streaked down her face. Wearing a hoodie and sweatpants, not the designer clothes I'd seen in her photos. "Mom, can we please talk?" I stood in the doorway, arms crossed, silent, looking at this young woman who looked so much like me but felt like a stranger. "I know I messed up," she said, her voice cracking. "I know I hurt you. I know I believed them when I should have believed you. But I didn't know. I swear I didn't know what he really wrote. They told me it said you'd kept him away. They showed me parts of it. I don't know, maybe they wrote their own version. I'm so sorry. Please, can we just talk?" I looked at her. This girl I had raised. This girl I had loved more than anything in the world. This girl I had sacrificed everything for. This girl who had thrown me away like I meant nothing. And I said the hardest thing I've ever said. The thing that broke me even as I said it. "No." Her face crumpled. "Mom." "No," I repeated. "You made your choice. You chose to believe them without asking me. You chose money and status over the person who raised you. You chose strangers over your mother. I was wrong. Yes, you were. And now you have to live with that." I closed the door. And I locked it. I stood on the other side, my hand pressed against the wood, listening to her sob, listening to her beg, listening to her break. And I walked away. Alyssa hit rock bottom fast. She moved onto a friend's couch when she couldn't pay rent. Started applying for jobs with no real experience. Turns out, 4 years of being groomed by narcissists doesn't look good on a resume. She called me twice more. I didn't answer. And me. I was thriving. I got a promotion at work. Started volunteering at a women's shelter. Made new friends. Joined a book club. Took a pottery class. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt. I was free. For the first time in years, I felt like myself again. Strong. Steady. Whole. Not defined by being someone's mother or someone's ex-wife. Just Megan. Just me.